Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole, King DL, Lauren Frey, Grim Clover, Internet Blood Sports, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. I was very much against the Shilling campaign for Cyberpunk 2077. I was one of the very few people who said this game was going to fail immediately after it was announced in 2013. I was the only one who talked down people who were like upgrading their PCs after The Witcher 3. Oh man, this is going to be the best game ever. I was like one of the very few people who were talking shit about Cyberpunk 2077 like a week before launch. And now, now that we're years after the fact, it feels like I'm the only one calling out the Shilling campaign, because what seems to be happening in 2022 is that CD Projekt Red is trying to salvage the game, trying to salvage Cyberpunk 2077 by launching an elaborate shill campaign to trick players into thinking the game is good now. We've seen this happen in the past with games like Destiny and No Man's Sky, but Cyberpunk 2077 did it in a bit of a roundabout way. Instead of actually fixing the game itself, they seem to have released an anime to try and drum up interest in like revisiting the world of Cyberpunk 2077. Like that's the narrative they're going with right now, is that like the anime is so high quality that people are like rabid to get back into the game. Oh man, this anime adaptation was so good. I became a fan of Cyberpunk 2077 by CG Projekt Red. First of all, Cyberpunk 2077 is not like an original IP from CD Projekt Red. It's based on like some tabletop RPG game from like the 80s. And from what I understand, that game is like the one you want to go to if you want to like experience the Cyberpunk experience. This fixation that, oh man, CD Projekt Red is going to put out like one of the best games ever made. Like, it was always ridiculous. It was always absurd. It was always like one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen. But now we're going beyond even that. We're getting to the point where like people are refusing to accept reality. People are saying the game is fixed now and that you can leap back into it and have a great time because the anime was so good. Now, like this campaign only lasted like a week, and I think it's already starting to die down. It reminds me a lot of like Multiverses, but and how that Shilling campaign played out. Like it feels like in the new 20s, it's difficult to get anyone's attention, to retain its attention on like a new media property, because like everyone is always moving on to the next best thing, or in my case, just avoiding the hype cycle entirely. I don't feel sorry for like the consumers or like the people producing this shit, because like it's not interesting. It's not worth getting invested in, and I'm not going to like spend my time like going over gameplay footage and like telling you all how the game has not gotten better, because like for the people who like blindly believe this stuff, that the game has been patched so that it's good, you're going to deny everything I say anyway, just like you did with No Man's Sky, just like you did with just like you did with Witcher 3, just like you did with everything else I've talked shit about over the years. Horizon Zero Dawn, like for example. Like, you're always just going to pretend that Nintendo sucks and that like everyone else is superior. That's kind of the mindset these people are in, like near constantly, is just like constantly consuming products because they have nothing else going on in their lives. And I'm curious, like, just how long this is going to go on before people start calling it out. I do think, unlike No Man's Sky, I am seeing more people call it out as like a Shilling campaign. It's rather transparently so. I think CD Projekt Red wasn't able to invest as much money into this as some other companies I've seen, because it seems like there's a lot of pushback to it, which isn't typical for a Shilling campaign of this kind. So I think they just do not have the resources to respond to every allegation lobbied at the game. it feels like this is going to crumble to pieces eventually. I don't expect CD Projekt Red will ever make a recovery, by the way. I've said this since the game launched. I think this is going to be it for them. I don't think their business is ever going to recover. They're never going to like get to their post Witcher 3 hype again. It's over. I don't see them ever becoming relevant, and but it seems like their fan base, their fanboys, like really don't want to admit that it's over and done. It's bizarre, right? Because I grew up in an era where people dismissed every Nintendo game that came out like the week after. Like, oh man, Sunshine, done with it already. Luigi's Mansion, done with it. Ocarina of Time, done with it. GoldenEye hasn't aged well. Meanwhile, these guys will like 7 years later will still proclaim Witcher 3 as like one of the greatest games ever made, when really it wasn't the best game, even the best game of the year it came out. It's pathetic the lengths these people will go to, and I hope eventually it comes crumbling down to pieces. But that seems to be a very, very long way away still.